And we are back once again. Welcome to our second video of the day. This time it is the Players You Need series, our fantasy football series, where I try and give you some advice on the players that you need to pick up for this week's fantasy football. Then try and build a team around them and challenge you guys to see if your team can beat my Players You Need team. As always, if you are enjoying this series, please make sure to drop a like on the video. And let's get into last week's team because, oh boy, it was another shocker. And as you can see here, it was only 55 points. Several reasons for this. Mainly Chelsea. I said go for Reece James and Aubameyang, and Reece James didn't start, came on towards the end and got one, and then Aubameyang didn't play at all, which is incredibly annoying considering that he then played and scored once again in midweek. So, unsure why that was the decision made by Graham Potter. Obviously, it ended up being the right one because Chelsea got the win, but no points for Aubameyang, 1 point for Reece James. And then we failed at Pep Roulette as well. Sergio Gomez not starting, coming on, getting a point as well. And quite frankly, thank goodness Cancelo got 18. Otherwise, this could have been a complete and total disaster. In the end, though, it was still 55, which meant that we did still beat some people in the Esso 99 League, but there were an awful lot of winners last week, and here they are. And congratulations to everyone that you can see on the screen right now, including quite literally myself, picking up 63 points with my main team. So even my pathetic main team was able to beat the best of Gameweek team last week, with this week's winner being Nigel Essam, my own father. So well done to him with a massive 94, 12 points than anyone else in the league last week. So well done, Dad. You take the overall win this week. But several winners, and congratulations to everyone that beat the best of team this week. Let's see what those scores have done to the league table. And as you can see, James Morris did get the second highest score in the league this week, meaning that he has now extended his lead at the top of the Esso 99 League, so well done to him. A gap starting to bridge out between him and the rest, with everyone else nicely bunched up around the 550 to 600 mark. So finally poised as it is right now. Be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of weeks, bearing in mind, of course, that Manchester City and Arsenal will not be playing next in the midweek fixtures due to the rearranged Arsenal versus PSV Europa League game. So a lot of decisions to be made, fantasy football-wise, coming over the next couple of weeks. Let's, however, focus on this weekend's games and the teams that I think you should be building for this week. Let's dive straight into it. And the first headline I'm going to throw out you is I'm not picking Haaland. That's not to say that I don't think he's going to do well. Obviously, they are against Liverpool. If City turn up, I'm sure Haaland is going to be involved. And let's be honest, you've all got Haaland in your team anyway. If you're watching this video, I'm fairly confident you've already got Haaland in your team. So you don't need me to tell you to put Haaland in your team. But I'm not picking him for my Players You Need this week. I'm going to go for, instead, Manchester City's, who in my opinion is their main man, and that is Kevin De Bruyne. I spoke about it in my predictions video. I think it's going to be a great game. I think Liverpool definitely have the means of hurting City again this week. But I also think City could run away with it. And I think whatever happens, and I always find this in the big games, Kevin De Bruyne steps up one way or another. He either gets a couple of assists or the winning goal. So I think the way City are playing, a massive game against Liverpool, I think whatever happens, Kevin De Bruyne is going to be involved in some capacity. So he is the man I am going to go for as my big Man City pick for this week. Obviously, if you have him and Haaland, fair play to you, go for it. I was also very, very, very close to going for Mohamed Salah off the back of his hat-trick against Rangers, but I wasn't quite confident enough to do it. I feel like there is more chance of De Bruyne popping off than there is Salah this weekend, hence why I've gone for De Bruyne. So, because I have not picked Erling Haaland, that means that we now have 3 striker spots available to us, where you probably don't have any idea who I'm going to go for. And I'm going to start with that man, Scamacca, Gianluca Scamacca for West Ham, who has been incredible over the last few games, scoring in, I think it's 2 consecutive Premier League games and a Europa League game as well. He's been the main man for West Ham. I would thoroughly advise you picking him up. They're up against Southampton, who defensively have not been very good recently. He's a good price as well, although, you know, West Ham paid an awful lot of money for him, but you certainly don't. So I think Scamacca is a very good option for this week and the coming weeks. West Ham have some good fixtures coming up as well. Equally, you could have stuck with Jared Bowen like I have over the last couple of weeks. He is also playing very well, but I think this is the opportunity to pick up a nice cheap striker on form, so I'm going to go for Scamacca. Next to him, we have another man, which a lot of you already have, but he has been fantastic, and Arsenal are coming up against Leeds this week, so we're going to go for Gabriel Jesus once again. I don't really think I need to say any more about Gabriel Jesus. I think you all know his qualities, and against Leeds, you'd expect Arsenal to do well. So finally, our other striker is going to be Harry Kane. Now, the relationship between him and Son seems to be clicking again at the moment. I think Kane's gone very much under the radar with how well that Haaland's doing, but Kane has been getting goals and assists almost every single week very consistently. They now come up against the Everton team that have been playing well, but I spoke about it again in my predictions video. I do fear for Everton down their right-hand side with Seamus Coleman and probably either Tarkowski or Cody coming up against Son. I think the way Kane's been playing at the moment, dropping in, playing those balls into him, it could be an absolute field day for the two of them. So off the back of talking about that, not only are we going to go for Harry Kane, but we're also going to go for Heung-min Son, and we're going to make Heung-min Son our captain because, yeah, as I just said, I think this could be a big opportunity for Spurs to run a little bit riot on Everton this weekend, and inevitably both of them will be involved. And rounding off the Spurs trio, I am also going to go for Eric Dyer at centre-back. He is the one that has played the most for Spurs defensively this season. Emerson Royale is suspended, but it's impossible for me to say that means Perisic will play right wing back and Sessegnon will play left wing back, because it could be Doherty. There are so many different ways they could play their wing backs this week. I just think Dyer is most likely to start. However, he was at fault for Frankfurt's opening goal, so you never know. I'm going to gamble on Eric Dyer. He is the one that I think is the most likely to play, and I think Spurs have a good chance of completing a clean sheet. And speaking of clean sheets, I don't think there are many available this weekend, but I am going to back one team to get a clean sheet, and that is going to be Wolves. So I'm going to go for Jose Sarr as my goalkeeper and Johnny as the defender, up against Nottingham Forest, who, as we've spoken about enough times, are a very, very inconsistent team. They're a little bit all over the place. And I think if Wolves play their organised style of play, they should be able to get a clean sheet up against Nottingham Forest. Finally then, in the defence, I think Arsenal have a good chance of getting a clean sheet against Leeds. So I'm going to go for their main defender, and that is, of course, William Saliba. I don't really think I need to say much more about him. I've spoken about him in enough videos on this channel already. I think he's an absolutely phenomenal defender, and if Arsenal get the clean sheet, he will inevitably pick up bonus points like he always does. Finally then, we have two midfielders. I'm going to stick with my boy James Maddison. He, of course, didn't do anything last week, but against Crystal Palace, I expect him to be involved. I would like to think Leicester are going to get some goals against Crystal Palace, so if they are, I expect Maddison to be heavily involved. And finally, we have a cheap player, which I know a lot of you already have, but is also playing relatively well. He scored a fantastic goal at West Ham last week, and that is going to be Andreas Pereira. That is going to be it, I think. Obviously, the bench, as you know, is just going to be our usual suspects. Ward, Williams, and our two icons in Totti and Cafu. But yeah, that's going to be the team for this week. I would also say there are several other striker options available for you. I think the likes of Mitrovic would be a very good shout. I spoke about how you could have Bowen in midfield. I still think Aubameyang is a very good shout for this week, but I'm not foolish enough to advise you all to pick Aubameyang 2 weeks running and then him not be picked. So I've gone for Scamacca, Jesus and Kane. I also think potentially Dominic Solanke going to Fulham is a potential good shout as well. So I think plenty of striker options available for you. That is the team I am going to go with. And that is going to be it for the video. But before we sign off, we have to issue the challenge once again. So if you think that your team is capable of beating my best of Game Week 11 team, come on in and join the Esso 99 League. We're up to nearly 40 people in the league now, which is great to see. The league code is on the screen. You do not have to enter your main team. By all means, create a brand new account and submit a team just to take on my team. It's all a bit of fun, and of course, winning managers will get shouted out as you saw in this video. Thank you very much for watching. I will be back very, very soon, even as soon as the start of the week, because we have a whole host of midweek fixtures for you as well. So I will see you then. Thank you very much for watching.